ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Matrix harnesses the power and versatility of the smartphone or tablet and turns it into a powerful input device customized to fit the application you're using. Whether you're looking for a remote control for media player, presentation, or immersive game interface with precisely timed macros, Matrix has you covered. Visit matrixapp.com for details.
Time to throw some right turns here for tonight's Thursday night stock car racing action. Welcome one and all to the Iverson Stock Car Association here in upstate New York for the virtual Watkins Glen International Raceway for round 8 of the ButtKicker Cup Series, third season on 2021 to the matrixapp.com 110. I'm Mola Rempo with Al Kozlowski beside me in the commentary box for tonight's 45-lap race. Al, we get back to kick some more asphalt here and throw a bit of right turns into tonight's dinner plate. Should be a very interesting race. Watkins Glen, a favorite track for many when it comes to the Cup Series schedule. Should be a very fun race ahead of us tonight.
Yeah, Nolan, looks like we have 4 lefts and 4 rights on this track. This is the track that we use brakes, and we turn left and we turn right. And it's always exciting. The wrecks we're going to see here more than likely are going to be entering turn 1 and coming around to the top of the S's. At the very top of the S's, these guys, it's an uphill battle from there, and they usually get loose right at the top of it. So that's where we're going to focus on a lot tonight and watch for those incidents that happen right there.
Don't discount turn 6 either. That left-hander that just about finishes off the lap just before the final corner on the circuit. It's a very difficult left-hander, very, very fast as well. I've been seeing a lot of drivers have been overshooting that corner, running a little bit wide. Of course, you run out of runoff room very, very quickly in that section of the racetrack. That, and of course, the bus stop chicane just at the top end of the hill right before the carousel of turn 5. You got a lot of places to watch out for on the track. But honestly, I think the favorite porch for a lot of guys on this track is turns 2 through 4. That S that sweeps first to the right, then cuts back to the left, and back up to the right for flowing up the hill. It is such a beautiful section of asphalt that you can see running through this through the plains and the forests of upstate New York. And it's honestly one of my favorite corner complexes in the entire world of motorsports.
Nolan, let's take a quick ride along with a driver and kind of watch it through this course, and we'll kind of talk about the area that they're in. Let's jump on board. Let's see who's out there qualifying. Let's see if Matthew McKeegan is out there qualifying yet. Is he on there, or is he just done? He looks like he is done. What about Wayne Grossi? Is he on lap 1 or lap 2?
Wayne Grossi will be coming to the conclusion of his second lap, just coming through that dreaded turn 6, throwing it down to the brakes just under 100 miles an hour before turning it into back out throughout the final corner. By the way, pole position currently set by Travis Manning with a 1:11.879. That's almost 2/10 slower than his fastest practice lap. Where does Grossi compare to that? He doesn't compare at all. No lap time log for the number 7 car. Must have been off track somewhere. Deep on the brakes for the downhill braking zone to turn 1 before we started to go back up through the hill. Lifted off the throttle just a little bit, really feathering it, and kind of letting the car coast through turns 2. Up as the car gets light through 3. Watching it work that wheel. The back end twitches out before stamping down to the power all the way through 4.
And there you go. That's that dreaded, that's that barrier wall in there, that guardrail. If you hit that, the odds of your car not sticking to it is slim to none. But that's where we'll see a lot of those wrecks right there that just swapped.
You called it out right over the top of that hill. It's a place to watch for. Very easy for the car to get loose. It was a little overcorrection from Grossi, and, well, there was no hope he could hold from there on to the end. He was coming on up to the bus stop chicane, one of the more popular chicanes out there, which is honestly impressive that it has such a big reputation because not a lot of people like chicanes in the first place. But, I mean, tell you what, it works really well here in Thunder Alley. It's going to be a very, very fun race for us tonight. So far, we've had about 13 driver set times. At the bottom of the charts, Michael Grant with a 127.7. So, Al, he's got a little bit of work ahead of him, doesn't he?
Well, this is a consistent track. If you're consistent, you really don't have to be fast. I mean, slow and steady wins the race. These guys that are out there, this track temp is fairly hot tonight. So, I mean, this track is going to be kind of loose on them. I mean, we're talking about a track running around at 103 degrees. Air temp is 68. So, they may be tempted to put a little bit more tape on them. Normally they would to help them get a little bit downforce on the front, but that downforce is going to be taken away by the braking. That's going to prevent them. We'll see some lockups tonight on these cars. Most of their tires locking up on the front, and that's basically really going to come in to turn 1 and at the back of the I think it was at turn 4 going into turn 5 and that chicane. That's where a lot of the braking is going to happen, and we'll see smoke coming from the front end of these cars, and some of them will even go off track.
You're absolutely right, Alan. I think the most common place for that is going to be in turn 1. Of course, it's a 90-degree right-hander, and it's a downhill braking zone. Those two combinations are the one thing you never want to hear when you're driving one of these stock cars. It's not uncommon at all to see drivers swinging it really wide out through the exit of turn 1, just try to pick up a little bit of extra time. We're about halfway through qualifying, 5 minutes. It's a 10-lap session on the night, being a road course. There's not a lot of cars actually out there on the track at the moment. I am watching Corey Cook at the moment. He's just started his first lap. Seeing if he can get a run around this facility at the moment. He is the only driver out there on a time lap, by the way. I say that as well. Matthew McKeegan is out there on a time lap now. He just ran a 1:13.859. Good enough for 10th place. He's trying to get the best, see what's good for him. And Corey Cook has also spun on his first lap out of turn 4.
Well, we have 25 drivers tonight that are going to try to tackle this track, and I imagine to say, or dare to say, it's not going to be that difficult for some of these drivers to go a lap down. I'm looking at these times. These guys are running 111s, 112s, and 113s. That is hauling the mail. I'm telling you, they're moving. So when you look at the time frame of Michael Grant of 126, and we've got our pole position right now to 111, he's 15 seconds faster. It's only going to take about 6-7 laps before Michael Grant is already going to go a lap down. He may be a lap down before stage 1.
Now, thankfully, Michael Grant is the only driver that's that slow on the track. For the most part, they're about 4 seconds off. So, apart from Michael Grant, I don't think we're going to be seeing a whole lot of lap traffic, that is, until we get around to stage 3, which is obviously, where we have to start thinking into things. Now, stage 3 does have, of course, that mandatory fuel stop, and I'm going to be honest here, Al, fuel mileage is going to be all the talk of the day. It's going to be interesting to see how these drivers manage those fuel tanks. I remember watching a race very similar to this one. You had drivers that were running out of fuel in the last corner on the last lap. These drivers could find themselves in a bit of a fuel battle tonight.
Yeah, typically on an oval track, the less fuel you have in the tank, the better you are. Here, I want to say the more fuel you have in the tank, the heavier that rear end is. Might also be the same factor. You may not want that.
Oh, yeah.
It may get you spinning around. So let's just see how this plays out. I don't know what the fuel mileage game is going to be for some of these drivers, but time will tell.
Fuel is looking relatively around 24 laps, so pretty stable. Of course, what that does mean now is that they're going to be running shy 2 laps to go from the end of this race. So it'll be close. The question is, can drivers clutch and coast enough that they can potentially not even make a pit stop throughout the entirety of stage 3? It'll be stretching it, but it might just be doable for some of the more experienced guys out there.
Well, the drivers that are going to benefit from that, and I don't know how huge of a benefit it's going to be some of the drivers that are being cautious and running like 1 minute 16 second, 1 minute 17 second laps. They're obviously going to save more fuel than a driver running out there at 1 minute 11 seconds, 1 minute 12 seconds. However, the distance between those two drivers could be significant enough that it's not going to make a difference.
So far, no drivers are out on course. The only car I actually see is Randy Drumhiller, who is currently sitting in pit road, 8.5 minutes into qualifying. Still a minute and a half to go. So stages 1 and 2 should be fairly cut and dry. Just a straight shot right to the end of the stage. Stage 3 is where all the question marks come on in. It's worth noting as well, there are a couple of drivers that we're not used to seeing that are not present today. Clayton Hoffman not able to make the race. He has taken a provisional, your points leader. It's also worth noting that Noah Bitt, second place in points, has received a 1-race suspension. So he is forced to not score any points today. So your top 2 in the points, they're both not present tonight, meaning we could see a bit of a, let's say, a flame lit underneath that championship battle.
I think both of them have quite a bit of an advantage that I don't know. I haven't looked at the points lately, but I don't think it's really going to hurt them that bad for missing this. Tonight, Nolan, my dice have said that my pick to win the race is going to be the 50 of Josh Schaffner.
I have to say it, Al. It's a bit of a long shot. He's 1.3 seconds off of Manning in qualifying. Am I saying it's not possible? I'm not saying that. It's still possible. You could have the top 4 racked out. Could be a bit of a long shot, though. Well, there's only one way to really take a look at that, and that is, of course, to wait and see just how this race will play out. Just 10 seconds left in qualifying. We'll take a quick step away here. We'll ask our ladies and gentlemen at home to please rise for the singing of the national anthem.
Oh, say, can't you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Starting on pole position for tonight's 4,510-mile race is going to be Travis Manning, the only driver so far in the entirety of the weekend to punch his way into the 111 range with a 111.677. Brian Johnson lines up beside him, almost a full second back on the front row. In third place, it's going to be Chuck Sweeney with Dan Shamoon in fourth. Josh Schaffner is in fifth with John Mullins down in sixth. Matthew McKeegan is in seventh with Austin Greer eighth. Chad Sullivan and Chris Johnson round out the top 10, Al.
And we've got Kenny Powell in the 24 machines coming in 11th. Robert Patton Gale, 12th. Gil Gawk, 13th. Craig Johnson, 14th. Michael Grant, 15th. Randy Drumhiller, 16th. Justin Levine, 17th. Britt Littleton, 17th. And then Jeffrey Souza, 18th. Will Barlow, 19th. And Wayne Grassi rounds out the top 20.
Roy Hyde, Corey Cook, Paul Olson, and Kyle Labrie round out the 24-car field for tonight's race here in upstate New York. Let's take a look at a bit of a run here at the point standings coming into today. Kind of refresh our memory. We mentioned that the top two will not be present, so there's still 32 points separating Hoffman and Bitts. That gap will actually grow, though, as Hoffman has taken a provisional on the night, which, correct me if I'm wrong here, means he does get last place points from tonight's race. The real driver in favor of this is going to be Kenny Powell. He's down in third place, 56.5 points back, yes. However, with the fact that both Hoffman and Bitts are not going to be here, Powell could find himself leaping up quite a few spots, at least to Noah Bitts, who can't score any points here tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be a big jump for Kenny Powell. That's definite there. Let's see, we got about 3 more minutes, and we're going to start this green flag here, and these drivers are all getting themselves strapped in, and they're ready to rock and roll.
18 points separate Greg Wyszynski from Wayne Grossi. Now, the significance of that is in the Super Cup Series standings. And that position is at the moment for the final transfer spot into the playoffs, which takes place at the end of Season 3 on 2021 for the regular Cup Series. So we're still watching that very closely. 6 drivers are so far locked in on wins alone, with Clayton Hoffman and Brian Johnson the only drivers to win multiple wins so far in the Super Cup Series season, 6 and 5 respectively. At the moment, Grossi is the only other driver that could possibly get up into the playoffs, and unless, of course, there are any wins from the guys further behind. Greg Wyszynski is the one trying to hold him off 18 points up, and there's only over 20 points for himself and Chris Johnson. So I don't think Wyszynski has to worry too much. He's just got to worry on just finishing consistently ahead of Wayne Grossi in these next few races.
Now, Nolan, I want to give a quick shout out before we get this thing started. I raced this race yesterday, and I have the ButtKicker system on my rig here, and absolutely was 100% beneficial to me. I was able to know when my rear end was losing traction, and those turtles, you can feel it in the rumbles of the ButtKicker. If you don't have a ButtKicker, you have to go out and get yourself one. To get one at a 20% discount, you can go to ISCA 20 and use that promo code on ButtKicker to get you 20% off, and you will not regret it, I assure you.
That is the ButtKicker.com. That is, once again, the ButtKicker.com, where you can go and utilize your 20% off promo code, ISCA20. Always doing a good job, ButtKicker, helping us out here to keep our lights on here for the ISCA. I think in just a few moments, we'll be getting ourselves underway. Everybody has gridded up. The fact that we're still sitting here, Al, is a bit of a mystery.
Well, we had some late comers. I think Justin Levine just connected. He had some problems, so we're getting ready to go green here shortly.
Well, I'll take a quick step away here while we're still waiting for that pace car to roll off. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com, and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Matrix harnesses the power and versatility of the smartphone or tablet and turns it into a powerful input device customized to fit the application you're using. Whether you're looking for a remote control for media player, presentation, or immersive game interface with precisely timed macros, Matrix has you covered. Visit matrixapp.com for details.
Still waiting for the green flag. I think we're sorting out a bit of technical issues. I know that a couple of drivers have been given an end of the longest line penalties out, which is something we're not used to seeing here. I know one of those drivers was Michael Grant, who was 11 seconds off of Craig Johnson's time. Will Barlow is the other one. I have a feeling they're wanting precautionary AOLs. They don't want to, cause a mess, especially for Michael Grant. That is his genuine pace. I can understand that if you're in Michael Grant's situation. If you're going to be that slow in the race, you don't want to have 10 cars behind you coming into turn 1 either. All right? So I can understand that from Grant's perspective. Barlow, I think, is just precautionary. John Mullins, meanwhile, has gritted up, and then he has left the racing facility. So there's a whole bunch of mysteries going on at the moment.
I don't know if they're having technical difficulties or what here. Looks like we just got the notice that we're going to be going for the parade lap in just a second here, so we should be starting up anytime now.
Confirm it was technical difficulties on our race director Kenny Powell's side. No idea what it was, but well, the good news is it has been resolved. Oh, I see. So he was trying to give the other guys their EOLs here, Al. I'm just hearing this now. Our race director uses, obviously, external programs so we can do that easier, because it's hard to do that when you're inside the car itself, scrolling through black boxes. Both of those programs failed on him at the same time, so it's just a free coincidence there. So it's a bit unfortunate for Kenny Powell. But the good news is we are rolling. We will have a race tonight. Unfortunately, John Mullins does not look like he's going to be a part of it, which is a whole other mystery in of itself. But on the back straightaway for the first time before we go, and only time before we go green flag racing for the first time.
Yeah, this is probably going to be the only time we're ever going to see these guys patiently coming through these rights and lefts side by side, at a good distance apart, I must say. When we see them in the race coming side by side, they're either going to be passing each other aggressively or wrecking each other aggressively. That's about the only thing I can tell you. You see some drivers that are going to go straight through this bus stop right here, and they're typically, if you do that during the race, there's a penalty. You'll be held for roughly about, I think, 6 or 7 seconds. So that's a big no-no. You don't want to do that. That could cost you some position.
Well, not quite that long. I think it's about a 5-second slowdown penalty. So you don't have to come into the pits and hold there. You just have to, like, slow down enough that you give up the 5 seconds of time gain, which obviously can mean a loss in positions regardless, but it's not as much as a stop and hold, thank goodness. So we're coming to the last few corners here, Al. What's your thoughts before we go green?
We're just going to watch for this race to start and watch in turn 1, and that's where, if they can make it through that cleanly and make it through the S's at the top of the hill without wrecking on the first couple laps, then we're going to have some green flag racing.
Travis Manning, the pole car. Brian Johnson, 8/10ths back, down in a second. The pace car will pull down to pit road this time by. We get set to go racing for 45 laps, 110 miles here in upstate New York. Green flag drops. Travis Manning gets the launch early, and it is a good launch from the 22 car. Well clear of Brian Johnson. It's going to be double file into turn number 1 for the first time today. Does anybody get sent around? Does anybody spin themselves around? So far, very civilized, especially towards the back of the field. Nobody's going 2 or 3 wide further in the field. And look at that. We're through turn 1 clean with, so far, no drivers having any issues. Up the hill through the S's, thundering down towards the bus stop chicane for the first time today. Side by side for third. Shamoon down the inside and Chuck Sweeten in the braking zone for the bus stop chicane. Sweeten bails out. Shamoon picks up the position. That's going to check up Austin Bruce, Schaffner, and more just in behind. Chuck Sweeten is in trouble at the moment in the number 53. Meanwhile, we have had a crash in the background. Roy Hyde has been sent around with Randy Drumhiller, and it was a huge wreck for Drumhiller, who went up and over into the bus stop chicane. So first crash of the race very early on for the 44 machine, who could find himself out of this race, going for a complete rollover.
Is that the 44 machine you said of Randy Drumhiller? It looks like he's back on the track. He's not rolled over.
He did a complete somersault flip, 360, landed back on all fours. I would not be surprised to see him coming down pit road this time by here. Will he come down pit road, or does he elect to keep it on out? This madman rolled his car in the first lap out, and he is keeping it out onto the track. What a legend. just took a look at that replay there as well a few seconds ago. So you saw the chaos that happened at the bus stop chicane. That is absolutely legendary for him. And there'll be something to see if we can maybe get a word after the race. Oh, Chad Sullivan's now had an issue. Out of turn 4, dropping out at 9th place all by himself. Just got loose. Kenny Powell nearly hit him.
Corey Cook just plowed into the wall. And
Oh, look out!
Oh, no.
Oh. Close call there for a bunch of drivers. He did collect Kyle Labrie in the number 9. Lost it by himself, and somehow Grassi, Drumheller, and Souza all managed to scramble to avoid him. Tell you what, it was a good turn 1. A couple of messy corners right after that, though. You just took a look at that replay as well on your screens with Corey Cook getting them hit by Kyle Labrie, and then the mad scramble to get around. I mean, Wayne Gross was in a lockup on the right front as well, trying to get around that.
Yeah, they use up these tires, and it definitely takes traction away from them when they brake, if they brake too aggressively on these turns. So you'll see a lot of guys getting squirrely because they're locking up that front tire.
At the moment, the furthest battle up is between Chuck Sweeting, Greer, Schaffner, and Chris Johnson. Battling it out for 4th on back to about the 7th place. It's really, though, almost between 6th, 5th, and 4th at the moment on course. That's the furthest battle up, darting their way over through the bus stop chicane for the first time today. So far, this opening battle has been pretty good amongst these drivers. All the chaos has been further in behind them. It's been good, though, Al. I mean, you've had a solid opening couple of laps here. A couple of drivers having some spills, but had a lot of actual good proper racing as well, and that's what we're seeing here as well. Chuck Sweeting losing a lot of ground big time to Austin Greer.
Yeah, Austin Greer is really hunting him down here, waiting. And there he goes.
Oh!
He makes it. He loses it. He loses it. That's all you
And
got to do.
saves it.
Keep some pressure on him. Keep some pressure on him. Good job, Austin Greer.
Chuck Sweeting in the Gator Racing number 53 doing a great job at saving that green machine. Unfortunately, he's lost several spots as a result, but it's better than putting it into the wall. That has now put him under fire from cars just in behind him. Matthew McKeegan, Kenny Powell, and Gil Gawk, who are also equally close, battling for their own positions for about 8th, 9th, and 10th out there on the racing surface. Brian Littleton, a newcomer to this series, is also trying to throw his hat into the ring, see if he can make up any time. Now, Gil Gawk, of course, the Gator Racing teammate Chuck Sweeting, is in the midst of this grouping. You wonder if Sweeting falls back enough, if he might hold these guys up a bit more to let Gil Gawk get some positions.
Well, I'm riding along with Kenny Powell in that 24 machine, trying to watch him as he comes down through the bus stop here and see if he can pull off the same thing that Austin did earlier, just give enough pressure and put that driver in front of him who's probably driving out of his rear view mirror.
Oh, big crash. Corey Cook has lost it again, this time with Will Barlow. Same spot as before, Al. Clipped the curb, went hard into the left side wall. Got clobbered as well by Will Barlow. Such a shame for both drivers. Cook is now out of the race. Effectively, so will Will Barlow be, as he's got major damage on his machine now. The battle, though, still rages on for 8th and 9th, as McKeegan has lost the spot to Kenny Powell, so he did apply the pressure. He managed to get past in a clean position. No going off track for Matthew McKeegan. So you got a lot of these drivers now starting to do battle in this grouping right towards the edge of the top 10 where the stage points count.
Meanwhile, our leader there, Travis Manning, has pulled away a solid 2.5 second gap between him and second place Brian Johnson. And behind Brian Johnson in third is Dan Shamoon, a minute and a half behind him, or a second and a half, which is not a huge thing. All Dan Shamoon has to worry about is if Brian Johnson makes one boo-boo, he'll be right there on top of him to capitalize.
Justin Levine makes a spot and Gil Gawk. Gawk trying to come back into the bus stop chicane. Both drivers lock up. Gil Gawk somehow retakes the spot in the braking zone for turn 5A. Justin Levine has to settle for spots further on back. It was a close call between this pairing. They were side by side. Levine got past. Gil Gawk said, no, sirree. I'm going to be braver on the brakes and take that right back. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that will work once, maybe twice, but don't try it the third time. As we're watching him come back, it looks like 19 is going to try to take that position away from 85 here. He's going to try to go to the outside. He's got to pick a right time to get around him here.
Scores the 34 for Levine, 19 on the car. We'll have to get a confirmation from our race directors as to where this actually is. But Levine down the inside at turn 1. Bit of a lockup on the left front. Gawk holds the outside line nicely, keeps Levine right in behind. But I tell you what, Justin Levine is going to be hunting in the run-up towards the bus stop chicane. Already we're halfway through stage 1, rounding lap 6 of 45. Oh, but Levine had to lift off there a bit. That allows Justin Levine to get a huge run of speed. This time, coming up on Matthew McKeegan, he's going to get really close here, looking to the right side. He decides not to go for the position, though, into the bus stop, and that is honestly for the best.
Yeah, right here in this next turn is where Justin Levine will try to go to the inside. As the 85 blocks him, he cannot make the pass on the inside. I think we're seeing a battle here that's going to really turn the heat up here a little bit. This is not what you want to see out of your rearview mirror. See, they're going to be coming at you, and if you come up on you too fast, they could end up not making a turn and push you right off the track.
Speaking of which, Gil Gawk doesn't make the turn, neither does McKeegan. That cost him a lot of time. Oh, it's a bumper from Justin Levine to Gil Gawk. Gives him a shot to the back end. That unsettles the 85 car into turn 7 and allows Brian Littleton to close right in. So the battle now for 10th, 11th, and 12th, as that nudge has allowed Matthew McKeegan to get significantly further down the front. Littleton looks for the spot down to the turn 1. No dice for him, though, and heads up for Michael Grant. Slow on the course. Your talk now, 6th lap for Grant was being caught. We're on lap 6, and he is heavily in lap traffic now.
Yeah, it doesn't take time. I mean, these guys are turning laps out there, you know, a minute 12. That's all the mail right there.
Just now Levine versus Gawk. Gawk goes a bit more defensive down into turn 5A. Levine trying to get crossovers left, right, and center. He gave it the bumper once between 6 and 7. You wonder if he'll do it again. Through the proper turn 5, the carousel. These drivers all start on the rundown. Kenny Powell up there in the 8th position as well. You look at how close Levine is to Gil Gawk. Oh, looks to the left side. Tries to go down the inside. Then to turn number 6. The 19 car bobbles a bit on the brakes. Step with the back end down as he tries to get on the hammer, but he's got the position. 10th place for Justin Levine.
Yeah, that was a really good time to pass him right there. You kind of either have to force him to either come down and hit you or go in the grass. So let's see how turn 1 turns out. He's got to try to get through these other drivers and get up there to Kenny Powell. That's what. Oh, Kenny Powell got a little brakes going on there on turn 1. A little brake dust, a little smoke. So he checks up quite a bit, and that's going to put Justin Levine in having to do a bump and run here, it looks like.
All over the back of the Mobile 1 Ford Mustang of Matthew McKeegan. Levine's going to go to the inside. That Frontline Motorsports driver with all the speed in the world on the 41 car down into the braking zone of turn 5A. Neither driver's lifting yet. Matthew McKeegan is not brave enough to try to hold on. Backs off and gives Levine the spot.
Yeah, you don't know. When you're coming into that bus stop and a driver is being aggressive like that, you don't know if they're going to miss that bus stop and just go straight while you're turning and plow right into you. So you kind of got to concede and give him the position. Now Justin Levine is got Kenny Powell in his radar here, and let's see if he can make it past him.
Pit road is now closed for stage number 1. Just going to show just how fast this race is flying by. We're already almost a quarter of the way in, and this race does not take much time at all. I'll tell you what, Levine, though, has been hunting. He has been all over the place trying to get past these drivers right behind him. He got past Gawk, then McKeegan, and just now he got past Matthew McKeegan on the last lap by. Trying to get by Powell. Powell locks up again. That opens the door for Justin Levine, who makes a very easy overtake coming into turn 2.
Get back to the front of this race, Nolan. Travis Manning has got himself a dominating 5-second gap between him and Brian Johnson. Second and third have pretty close. I mean, there's only about a second between second and third. All it needs to take for Dan Shamoon to get lucky is Brian Johnson misses a turn, or as you've just seen Powell do, he just locks up those brakes in turn 1, and Dan Shamoon will move into the second position.
This isn't to say there's not battles going on elsewhere on the track. I mean, you also got a battle with 2 cars for 15th and 16th. Craig Johnson and Jeffrey Sousa are currently looking a little bit tight together. As well as that, though, I tell you what, Kenny Powell and Matthew McKeegan are both looking nice and tight as well. Powell is falling further and further back and is just within striking distance now of Matthew McKeegan. So that 24 car could be under fire on the final lap of the stage.
Yeah, moving down deeper into the field here, it doesn't really look like we have a lot of competition for battles here. It looks like everybody, the closest one, maybe Matthew McKeekin and Gil Gawk. Yeah, that's got Gil Gawk, Matthew McKeekin, and Kenny Powell all nose and tail here, and it's all it takes is for one of those drivers to get a little bit squirrely, and you're going to take out 3 cars if they don't avoid it.
And by the way, this is for the last battle for podium or for points in the stages as well. So you got a lot of these guys that are really battling the hard. Take a look up front though. Travis Manning rounding the final corner. He comes off of the final corner and will win stage number 1 for Frontline. Second place across the line, Brian Johnson. Dan Chamoon rounded out in 3rd. Battle is on for 5th place as well. Chris Johnson trying to pick up one more spot on Josh Schaffner. Coming down into the last corner now to see if he can maybe pick up one more spot and one more desperate half a point. Not going to get there in time. Schaffner holds on. Chris Johnson goes back. Back now to the battle for 9th and 10th. The final battle across the line before stage 1 comes to its full conclusion. Look at the back. There goes Brian Littleton trying to go for the inside, but no dice on Gil Gawk. McKeekin trying to get a run on Kenny Powell. They will not get there in time. Powell holds on for 9th of the stage.
And that's going to conclude it. That's going to conclude the first stage in this race tonight. We're going to go ahead.
Sweeney's crashed. Chuck Sweeney's actually crashed out right when the caution came out in turn 2. Big time.
Yeah, he might have checked up, and you can't just break this real fast in any kinds of turns. You're going to lose that rear end. I don't know. I didn't watch the incident. If we can go back and watch it, let's check and see what happened to him here.
He just got up on the curb out of turn 1. Just lots of there. It was way too bumpy. He couldn't do anything about it. Just shot sideways and then hard into the wall, left side. Ripped the front end off.
Oh, he got into the grass there and got really loose and hit that guardrail. I mean, that's going to really put a damper on his race for tonight. It shouldn't affect a lot, but it's going to take some speed out of that car. I don't think it's going to overheat, but I definitely don't think he's going to have the speed he had when he started this race.
So under caution for the first time here tonight. Pace car just out through turn 3 now. We'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with more from upstate New York's Watkins Glen.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Matrix harnesses the power and versatility of the smartphone or tablet and turns it into a powerful input device customized to fit the application you're using. Whether you're looking for a remote control player, presentation, or immersive game interface with precisely timed macros, Matrix has you covered. Visit matrixapp.com for details.
Pit stops underway out there on the racing surface. Travis Manning, unsurprisingly, leads the entire field down to pit road here, Al. 4 tires and fuel seems to be a decent strategy, considering we're going to stage 2. What do you think?
I personally, myself, I don't know if I would have pitted. I mean, is it mandatory that you pit under this caution?
It's not, but it's better to get fresh tires when you're not going to lose any spots doing it.
Well, that's true. But if I'm sitting in the back and I'm noticing all this wrecking going on, and I've got a fairly good car, I may not have pitted and stayed out and just got a position or two.
So we'll see if we can maybe bring out Frontline Racing, Travis Manning here just as he exits pit road here. We'll see if we can give him a bit of a talk here in just a minute. We'll wait for him to kind of catch a little bit further up to the pace car first. Tell you what, though, this has been a really solid race so far. I mean, this has been it's been good. There's been a lot of races. There's been some wrecking, yes, but the racing overall has been top tier. I mean, we've seen some thrilling overtakes, drivers trying to have these duels of delayed breakers. It's been good.
It looks like Brian Johnson may have won the race off pit road and beat Travis Manning. I thought Austin Greer might have done that, but I think that when he came off pit road, he might have gotten himself a penalty.
I have to look into that a little bit more. For now, though, I think it's just about time that we bring on up Travis Manning. We'll bring up your Stage 1 winner. Give us a little bit of a chat here. Travis Manning, this is Nolan Rempel up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, keep it short. I'm assuming you're 2 to green here, so I don't think you no doubt want to go down and strategize with your team. But so far, good for Stage 1. You trying to go for another Stage 2 win?
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. Messed up pits a little bit. Fell back to 3rd here, but hopefully make quick work of the guys in front of me and get this 22 a Bruzy car up front.
Here's the hope that you'll get up there or up front in a hurry. Hopefully the race will go well for you as well. Well, like I said, we're going to keep it brief here. Before we let you go, though, Travis, in case you don't get to talk to you all throughout the rest of the night, anybody you'd like to shout out now for us?
Hey, absolutely. Frontline Esports built a heck of a car this week, so thank you to them for that. And, we got the Bruzy on the car, Bruising Q's background sponsor, and then everyone that's watching, Dad, Steph, Buddy JR, everyone's there watching. So big shout out to them, and hopefully we can put this thing in victory lane tonight.
Here's the hope, and lights are on the pace car. We'll move you back down to your Frontline channel. Travis, thanks for coming up and giving us a bit of a chat. Good luck in the race.
Thanks, guys.
That was Frontline Racing's Travis Manning. He'll be moved down to his own channel here in just a few moments. It's been a good race so far, and you heard him there, Al. He's wanting to go for a Stage 2 win.
Well, if he does anything like he did the first stage, he's definitely going to be here again. He's just got to get past. It looks like we're going to have my whole category here is all mixed up. Is it Travis Manning and Brian Johnson on the front here, or is it Kyle Labrie? I don't know what's going on here. I've got some technical difficulties myself.
That's lining up as Travis Manning on the pole for now. I think it's just waiting for guys like Drumhiller to come across the line. And that is, in fact, the case. It's getting all sorted out, but Travis Manning is indeed on pole. Brian Johnson will be on the outside. Schaffner 3rd. Shamoon in 4th. So that is how it's going to be lining up for us here so far on the front 2 rows. Lap 10 was the last stage caution course. Caution laps not counting on road courses, which is why it's been showing lap 11 all this time. And the reason for that is, well, frankly, because it's either that or we have a 4-lap stage. So I would take the do not count caution laps any day of the week.
Absolutely. And it looks like, by watching Travis Manning's driving here, the outside line is the preferred line here. Unlike a oval track, you want the, well, is that, no, that's the inside, isn't it? So he's still taking the inside. That's kind of odd. I think I would chose the inside, but he's choosing the outside. This whole road course thing's got me all kinds of confused on what's the inside and what's the outside.
He's taking the inside. The right side is technically the inside of the track. We call it the right side, though, when it comes to road courses, just because of how many left and right turns there are. But he has taken the inside for turn 1, which is exactly where you want to be if you want to try to fend off the pack behind you. You want to be in a good defensive position. So that's the plan that Brian Johnson has. No surprise there. It's a strategy that, frankly, a lot of people on these double power road courses take. I don't ever see anybody putting themselves on the backhand on a run for turn number 1. Brian Johnson's on the loud pedal. We're green flag racing for Stage 2.
Let's watch this turn 1 and see what happens. There is a slide.
Oh, big time. Brian Johnson falling way down the order. We're also getting word here that Paul Olsen has, Austin Greer has been given a penalty, and Olsen was too far back. He was like half a track back, could have no time to catch up.
Yeah, Paul Olsen was a lap down car, and he got the wave around, and when you've got to go through this track, wow, Brian Johnson, I'm watching it at 4 Machine, is squirrely. Whatever he did on his last pit stop is not working for him now. But anyways, Paul Olsen was a lap down. Now he's got to not only get the wave around, which means he comes around the pace car, and he's got to catch the back end of the field. And obviously, he did not catch the back end of the field in time, and you got some drivers that are on the lead lap, not them penalized with a black flag for passing under caution.
Now, the good news for this one, Al, is the fact that those penalties have since been cleared because there was absolutely no way that Greer could have slowed down enough to allow Olsen to catch back up. Because by the time the field took the green flag, Olsen was just out of turn 5, the carousel, on the other side of the track. There's no way you could expect him to want to hold up that long. So that penalty has since been waived. He will not have to serve it, which is honestly great news. That's what you love to see. You know, having those penalties that probably shouldn't be given being waived. That's personally what I like to see. Way further back, though, Kyle LaBrie is having a run on Craig Johnson further to the back end of the field. The 83 Toyota Camry pulling ahead in this other spot. Prime Camry, sliding outside, was into turn 2. That checks up LaBrie, sweeting it more, just in behind. It's a Horton car, still loose.
There's a big pile up, a huge pile up. That took out
major crash.
6 of them. 6 of them out of the race here.
Huge crash in turn number 3. Matthew McKeegan and his peers have also had some struggles up in front at the exit of the final corner. Check that. That's Dan Shamoon. McKeegan was just calling it out. Shamoon spinning all by himself, but a huge pile up in turn 3 is going to see several drivers out of the race, no doubt.
Well, I don't know if I'm hearing it incorrectly, but that was not, I don't think that was Dan Shamoon involved in that.
It was a separate incident out of the bus stop chicane. Lost it by himself. Oh my gosh. Craig Johns was just all sorts of loose, just never got it under control, was trying to hang on to it, and he just couldn't. And that checked up everybody behind.
Yeah,
it's such a tough track.
This is definitely a track that's going to get some of these drivers upset tonight, but they have to remember this is a road course. This is not an oval track. Many of these guys are really super good on an oval track, and just like myself, they really don't drive too well on a road course. So you're getting about as good as you can get for the caliber of a driver that we have for a road course. iRacing and NASCAR forces drivers to race a road course when they really don't have the talent skills for that road course. Some drivers do and some drivers don't.
Juan Pablo Montoya was one of the drivers that did. In fact, he raced in both IndyCar, Formula One, and in NASCAR. Raced in all 3. Won the Triple Crown as well, or was 2 spots away from winning the Triple Crown. Indy 500 winner, as well as Le Mans 24-hour winner. Never won the Monaco Grand Prix, but it goes to show you can get the guys that are good at both. I'm taking a look further in the back. Kenny Powell having a run, and Matthew McKeegan nearly wiping out the 41 car into the final corner. Just up in front of him as well, you got another hard battle going on for 4th and 5th between Schaffner and the Southern Spiral Pipe 48 Ford Mustang of Chris Johnson right up in front as well.
Yeah, just like NASCAR, a lot of teams in here will elect to have a driver, AKA maybe like Boris said, come in and race their road course for them because they don't want to lose the points, but they definitely have a driver that's not comfortable driving a road course. Someday, maybe iRacing will have that same thing that we can have happen here and not get penalized for it.
In the back, Dan Shamoon having a pass on Wayne Grossi. Goes way down the inside into the bus stop chicane. Shamoon somehow gets that thing stopped in time. Wayne Grossi starting to fall back into the clutches of Roy Hyde's mangled number 13 Chevrolet. Trying to see if he can maybe make us some speed in Roy Hyde. Cross is pushing a bit wide through 5. That opens up the door for Hyde. Oh, but he gets the throttle down a bit too eagerly there, Al. That cost him with just a couple of hundredths off of turn 5.
Yeah, it looks like Justin Levine. We were talking about him earlier in that, what is he, in the 34 machine? He is up into 3rd now. He's worked his way. He must have had a very good pit stop. And if Ryan Johnson in front of him keeps missing that turn 1 like that, Justin Levine is known to capitalize on that.
Joe Goff finding the inside of Kenny Powell in turn 1, putting the 24 car down another spot. Chad Sullivan is trying to make it too. Swings out so wide that he takes out the cone that guards the pit exit lane. So Chad Sullivan's wounded 21 machine and the Reaper Speed Labs machine, trying to see if he can maybe find some speed to put Kenny Powell down another position. But so far, it's been nothing doing for that number 21 car, who is still trying to work on Kenny Powell. I'm also still watching Grossi versus Hyde further in the back. There's so many battles to watch at the same time. They're all fluctuating so much, it's hard to tell which one we should keep our eyes on.
Yeah, there are drivers everywhere that are so close to each other. Gil Koch right on the bumper of Kenny Powell. We've got Roy Hyde right on the bumper of Wayne Grossi. I mean, these guys are within seconds of each other. and they're battling for that second stage. Everybody's trying to get in that top 10 to get some points out of that.
Not even seconds. We're talking tenths, if that, in front of each other. It's insane just how close some of these guys are, daring to get to each other down to some of these more aggressive corners as well. I'm going to look up for Kenny Powell, though, and Chad Sullivan, because I think those are the battle to keep an eye on just for the time being. Wayne Grossi's battle with Hyde is sort of stabled out. Powell deeper on the brakes, nearly runs over Gilgog right in front of him, but slows it down in time. And while Sullivan was better to the mid-corner, lost some time on exit because he ran over the curbs.
Well, we got Chris Johnson in that 48 machine. He is right on the bumper of my pick to win the race, Josh Schaffner. Waiting on Josh Schaffner to miss a turn, and he's going to capitalize on it. He is patiently waiting, but Josh Schaffner is not giving in. He's hitting all his marks and got that car under control. So Chris Johnson better step it up a little bit. He might have to give him a bumper to pass.
Okay, one driver's not wanting to move around a lot at the moment is Dan Shamoon. He wants to get going. Shamoon in the 23 machine is so far flying in his 23 frontline machine all over the back of Kenny Powell's G&G machine. Just made an outside pass on Chad Sullivan in turn 4 in the S's and is still trying to work his way further and further up the order. So the battles continue on, particularly, though, through 8th, 9th, and 10th. Shamoon gets loose. That opens the door back up for Chad Sullivan down in the 7. But now it's Powell's turn to run wide, letting Shamoon right back into the fray.
Yeah, I just watched Chris Johnson. He took the inside around Josh Schaffner with a clean pass. So now that moves him up into the 4th position and Josh Schaffner back into 5th.
So this 24 and 23 car still battling big time. Like you said, Chris Johnson getting past Josh Schaffner and already starting to pull away big time. But that 24 car is not giving the 23 any favors at the moment. Shaboon, can you look for the inside into the bus stop chicane? Gets close, but not close enough, he's decided. Backs out a little bit, gives Powell some room, but look at the line. He's taking it so much tighter through the midsection. Has to even slow further on exit just to avoid running Powell over. He was so good.
Yeah, he'll come try to the inside here, and he's going to get it, I'm afraid. Unless Powell holds it off, and Powell puts the power down coming off that turn and kind of closes the door on him here. So unless Powell makes a mistake, Dan Shamoon is going to play hell to get past him.
So if you happen to hear some rumbling, I do apologize for that. There is an air show at the moment going outside my house. So there was just an F-18 that basically just buzzed my house. So you can understand that I'm working with outside circumstances here. So apologies for any rumbling you might hear whenever I pop things up.
Now Kenny Powell has got, he slides right off.
Oh!
Powell goes off course, and that's exactly what you don't want to do if you're driving out of your rearview mirror. That's going to happen. So these drivers they're definitely putting the pressure on the drivers in front of them, and hopefully they make that mistake right there.
Pit road is closed for stage 2 already. 2 laps remaining. The battles continue. Powell now is trying to fend off Wayne Grossi. This is for the final points position now that Powell is struggling to hang on to. So it's about to get intense. Grossi trying to find the inside of Powell. No dice though for the number 7.
Well, let's check out this battle between 2nd and 3rd. Justin Levine is closed right into the bumper within sneezing distance of Brian Johnson. And all he needs to do to get 2nd away from Brian Johnson is for Brian to make a mistake. But Brian, I know it is not going to be driving out his rearview mirror, so he's not really too worried about it. If he can make this corner, he'll be just fine. Yes, he makes a perfect corner there, Brian Johnson. Clears it, and he stays on track, and that's going to have to put Justin Levine back on the battle here. Back on the prowl. So let's see if they do the bus stop and come through the S's. Justin Levine is on him still. They both have good control through their cars. This bus stop, let's see who brakes later. Typically, we'll see braking right about now, and they start slowing it down to make this bus stop. But Justin Levine powers through. I mean, you see grass flying everywhere from his tires. And he manages to muster through that, come to this sharp right turn. Justin Levine doesn't have a chance to go to the inside, but he puts the power down. It looks like Brian Johnson is going to hold him back there unless Justin Levine kind of pushes the envelope and sneaks to the inside in this sharp left here. It should have them finishing exactly where they're at right now.
Travis Manning comes off of the final corner. He will win stage number 2 easily. No shadow of a doubt about that. Oh, Brian Johnson's pushed wide. The door's open for Levine. If he can get a better drive off of the final corner, gonna try to pull alongside. Cannot get there. Brian Johnson fends off Levine for second and third place. Waiting on battles further on back. Kenny Powell, the driver to watch, with Wayne Grossi all over the back, trying to fight him off. It's going to be in the favor, though, of Kenny Powell. It comes to the final corner. He will be able to hang on for 10th place. What a drive for stage 2.
Yeah, you'll notice if you watch this race, everybody that's in front, like 1st through 9th, they still race like it's green flag, because the flag caution lap does not fall until a 10th place driver passes the start-finish line. So in a sense, if you were to back up, if you're in 3rd place and you just saw it's a caution, it's going to be end of the stage and start backing off, 4th place can come flying past you and take 3rd place away from you. So that's going to conclude the end of stage 2. We're going to go ahead and run through the field. The winner of stage 2 is Travis Manning. 2nd place is Brian Johnson. 3rd is Justin Levine. 4th is Chris Johnson. And it looks like 5th is Josh Schaffner. 6th, Matthew McKeegan. 7th, Dan Shamoon. 8th, Gil Gawk. Chad Sullivan is in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 will be Kenny Powell.
Stage 2 concluded. We'll take another quick commercial break, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Matrix harnesses the power and versatility of the smartphone or tablet and turns it into a powerful input device customized to fit the application you're using. Whether you're looking for a remote control for media player, presentation, or immersive game interface with precisely timed macros, Matrix has you covered. Visit matrixapp.com for details.
While we're back for more here from the Watkins Glen International Raceway, we spoke to Travis Manning on our last Stage 1 caution. So we're going to work on seeing if we can get Brian Johnson up here just after pit stops finish on up here. We saw 4 tires of fuel last time by. I have a feeling we'll be seeing the exact same situation here at the moment.
Well, Nolan, if I'm in this race, which of course I'm not, I'm up here broadcasting, I might roll the dice because we have to stop one more time for fuel.
Do we, though?
Wouldn't I stay out and maybe stop on a fuel only and maybe get the advantage? I don't know. It doesn't look like anybody's going to do it, though. They're all going to stop for tires here.
All drivers are going to be coming on in. 4 tires and fuel is the expected amount, and that is going to be the exact situation that we're going to be running ourselves with. So once Brian Johnson catches up with the pace car, then we'll give your Stage 2 P2 a bit of a conversation up here in the booth. Oh! Did he just get beaten out by Justin Levine? I think he actually might have just lost second place to Levine as well. And we'll have to wait and see here if he goes back past. That is the case. Johnson barely beats out Levine at the stripe. And already, Al, Brian Johnson is clutching coasting, trying to see if he can maybe make it to the end from here.
Yeah, they're definitely got some fuel mileage tricks. It looks like Chad Sullivan in that 21 machine was doing a little bit of parallel parking on pit road. He shot his pit, overshot his pit, so he had to back up and get in his pit.
Field is catching him back up to the pace car. So we will see if we can bring up G&G Racing. Brian Johnson to give us a conversation up here in the broadcast booth. Just give me a few seconds here, and I'll see what I can do for us.
Yeah, that mistake at Chad Sullivan, he went into the pits in 9th and came out in 13th because he missed his pits. And I don't know, watching this pace lap, Kenny Powell is going off track like he's got an issue with his steering. I don't know what happened there, but he's got it back under control.
So we're going to bring up our stage 2, position number 2, Brian Johnson. This Nola Rempel up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy, my friend?
Got a copy.
Well, that's 2 stages down, 1 to go. Fuel is looking tight. A lot of guys are trying to conserve fuel under this caution. What do you think, 1 or 2 stopper?
We're going to go all the way. So we're saving as much as we can right now. So Travis is just super fast. So we're going to have to make a play here. So we're just going to save as much as we can and see what happens.
Not a bad strategy at all. Just be curious here. You've been running up at the top 3 so far all day long. What's your finishing position goal for the night?
Yeah, the goal is top 5. You know, I think we got enough. I've got a fast enough car to at least get a top 5. So we'll see how it goes. We just need to stay clean, keep it on the track. I think it would be all right.
Already 1 to green, so we'll wrap this up in a hurry here. Before I let you go, though, Brian, anybody you'd like to shout out for in G&G Racing number 4?
Yeah, shout out to G&G and Southern Spiral Pipe. Hopefully we can get this thing in victory lane. If not, we can pull off the top 5 here.
Thank you, Brian Johnson, for taking the time to come on up and join us in the broadcast booth. We'll move you back down to your G&G Racing channel, and, well, best of luck in the rest of the race.
Thanks, guys.
That was G&G Racing's number 4 of Brian Johnson. Well, Al, you heard him, top 5. He's looking good for it.
Well, now we've got the changes. It looks like Travis Manning is going to go to the inside, and Brian Johnson's going to go to the high side here, it looks like. That's a switch over from the last restart we had, so let's see how that plans out.
A lot of drivers have yet to catch up to the pace car. This will be interesting here because you got some guys that have to be let through.
Yeah, we really don't have a delayed. We can't delay the caution because that will mess up the scoring for the laps here. Let's give that shout out. Is that a Porsche, our pace car there?
Yes, sir, it is. Porsche 911 GT3 pace car.
That sure is a good-looking pace car that we have this week. We're going to have Travis Manning again. Came out. He's going to be in first place, and Brian Johnson's going to be battling to try to take that away from him. Justin Levine is right behind him, and then we have Chris Johnson, which is Brian Johnson's younger brother, is going to be behind him as well. So it might be the Johnsons against the Levine and Manning show here in a minute.
Well, the order has been given to give Paul Olsen an end-of-line penalty. Now, this is not anything against Paul, but it's just so that way we don't penalize everybody else. So it'll be interesting here to see how this is all going to play on out here. So you got a lot of guys here. This will be interesting. Looks like we are going to be doubled up and ready to go here. Early launch from a very straggled field. Travis Manning is taking the lead.
Yeah, that was a very good start for Travis Manning, and he left everybody sleeping behind the wheel there. Chris Johnson, he still looks like he's going to just, I thought he was going to sneak underneath his brother. He decides to lay it down a little bit. Schaffner falls back into 6th. These guys are nose to tail. They just got to watch for somebody to mess up in front of them to get a position here.
P2 under fire. Justin Levine and Brian Johnson looking to do battle. Johnson looks for the inside for the bus stop chicane. Oh, big bobble for Levine. Levine goes screaming through the chicane way too quick. That will be a penalty for sure. Justin Levine will have to give that spot up. Surely, there's no way he holds on to that one.
No, I think he holds on to that. You got to have all 4 tires off the track, and I don't know if he did.
He did. He shot right across half of the chicane there. Oh, behind! Oh, big pile up. Chris Johnson gets collected by Dan Shamoon. Johnson recovers. But it's a mess out there on the track at the moment. Johnson tries to cut back to get past Josh Schaffner. Kenny Powell and Gil Gawk are both under fire as well. It's a messy opening lap for stage 3. But boy, is it an exciting little thing to watch. So down in the turn 1, Chris Johnson picks one up from Schaffner. Kenny Powell secures his overtake as well on Gilgog.
Yeah, I think we're seeing Chris Johnson. He's driving under duress here. He's kind of upset and that what just happened to him. So I think he's going to do everything he can to get back up there to give a little payback. And that might be a bad idea for him. He might want to regather his thinking here and race this track and not miss his points.
Well, I would hope that he doesn't try to get some revenge because Dan Shamoon did not mean to do that. He apologized profusely over the radio for that one. Just couldn't get it stopped in time. You just saw Gilgog under fire from Wayne Grossi further at the tail end of the field coming through the bus stop chicane. Once again, going to show just how tight this field is. I mean, this is some great race that we've been seeing here so far. It's been interesting. You just saw as well the replay that showed Chris Johnson get picked up and into the air from the guardrail. Oh boy, you got some contact from time to time. Unfortunately, that's one of those moments where wrong place, wrong time for Chris Johnson.
Yeah, if a driver gets aggressive and they try to make a pass in any of these turns, that's the result you get. It's a little bit of give and take and pick your right spots to pass, and that's road course racing. Some drives, like I said, these are a lot of oval track drivers here. Not a lot of time on the track as far as road coursing. As you can see, some of these drivers have A-class license on road. The rest of them are mostly B's, C's, and D's. I mean, we're not talking about highly skilled road racers who put a lot of race time on a road course. I mean, a lot of these drives kind of don't drive road courses, so this is all new territory to them.
Grossi once again trying to find the inside line of Gilgog into the bus stop chicane. No dice. Gilgog no doubt having a bit of a heart attack moment as he sees the second car close on up and nearly clean him out as well on entry to that bus stop chicane. You got this big gaggle of cars from 7th on back really to about 14th, 13th place as Chad Sullivan gets really loose out of the carousel right at the top end of your screen. That opened up the door for Brian Littleton to try to open up the door, and he is going to go through. Sullivan locks up and goes too wide.
Yeah, meanwhile, up front here, looks like Justin Levine is slowly, and I mean slowly, reeling in Travis Manning here. He's got him in his sights, and he's only about 2.5 seconds until he catches him. If he expects Travis Manning to make a mistake like some of the other drivers that he's been trying to pass, he better rethink that strategy.
A lot of drivers starting to really swap positions here, kind of going back and forth as this race goes on. I mean, this is going to be an interesting one, to say the very least. I honestly don't quite know what to expect here from the rest of this race. I mean, you heard Brian Johnson as well. Their plan is to go to the end. It's an estimated 24-lap fuel run. They had 25 to go when they took the green flag. It'll be close, but you heard them. They were saving a lot of fuel under that caution period. I think it's possible, but it'll be very, very tight. So you never know, Hal. You just don't really know in a situation like this. Everything's up in the air.
I don't see anybody saving fuel right now. I don't see one driver on this track saving fuel. And it's going to cost them. Everybody's going to have to come in and pit. I don't think that they can make it to the end. Obviously, Travis Manning is not saving any fuel. I mean, he's not letting Justin Levine close up by saving fuel. Justin Levine is just fast, and he's trying to catch him.
These guys are all starting to reel in. Chris Johnson at the top end of this field as well. I think the damage on the front of the 48 car is hindering him too much, and to realistically be able to do a whole lot about it. In the back, you got Roy Hyde and Matt McKeegan getting a little bit closer as well, but that also kind of spaces on up. And it's been interesting about road course racing, isn't it, now? Because when you take a look at how the battles go, they'll be really close in one corner, and then all of a sudden you lose a few tenths in just one corner because you just get a bad line going.
Yeah, it just takes one corner, one braking point for your car not to react the same as it did the lap before, and it could ruin your race. I mean, you could be braking perfectly fine every time you take that left or every time you take that right. It takes one time for that rear end just to step out just a little bit, and you got to check up, and you'll lose a position.
This massive train of cars here, and I mean, I want to point out as well, this is a good portion of the field. Like, I'm looking at my timing screens at the moment. This is basically half the field in one massive line here. Everybody else is just kind of spaced out across their own little race. This is where all the action is on track at the moment. And it's something you like to see about this when you get all these battles that are really close together. I think a lot of these cases as well is people are driving a little bit more conservatively. That's why we're not seeing a whole lot of drivers splitting apart. They're kind of trying to hit the same amount of lap times so they can try to make it to the end.
Yeah, this is 6th through 13th. They're all nose to tail here with not even a second between you. So it just takes a matter of one of those drivers in the front of this pack to mess up, and it's going to ruin the race for about 7 cars.
Oh, big log of a Roy Hyde. Hyde is going to lose it in the bus stop chicane through the gravel trap and into the tire barriers for the number 13 machine out of 11th place. That was a completely self-inflicted error there. Just goes scooting out a bit too wide, tried to find the inside, got loose, trying to keep that on McKeegan, puts it in the wall instead.
Yeah, I had some chats with some drivers earlier today and advised them to not watch the bumper of the car in front of them, to really just make their marks, hit their marks, and race their race. Don't pay attention to that bumper in front of you, because if you do, you'll miss your point. And your turning point, your braking points, and you'll mess up just like you just did.
Further up front, Kenny Powell and Gil Gawk are looking nice and tight again for 7th and 8th, but further behind, I'm also watching Sullivan and Jeffrey Souza. Oh, behind! Brian Littleton, save the buddy, come on! He does! Brian Littleton saves the 28 machine. Incredible stuff. We've got to get a look at that if we can. Shot that car sideways, bounced off the guardrail by a small bit, didn't collect anyone else though well, and more importantly, kept his own car out of trouble. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, that's some talent there. That's obviously somebody who's been on this track before, but no, he's got a D license. I mean, which is basically like a learner's permit, you know, if you must say it, for road courses. So he's probably at the bottom of the totem pole here. There's only about 4 drivers in this field that have a D-class license, and that's probably about as low as you can get besides the rookies. So that's some great talent there from Mr. Littleton there.
So that is going to move all the battles further on up to the front, but they are starting to space apart a little bit more. So I think I actually have a little bit of time where I can kind of go through some of the other big points in the race so far. We talk about how hot it was at the start of the race, now 103 degrees. That has dropped significantly. Only 89 degrees Fahrenheit now out there on the racing surface compared to the 67 in the air. So it has cooled significantly on the track. Also point out that Justin Levine is flying at the moment. This man started 25th, stone dead last, and he's in 2nd.
Yeah, I told you when we started this race, some drivers were going to be doing this. They wanted to get an EOL, which is the end of the line, and they wanted to just kind of play it safe and see how everybody drives and then pick and choose their passing points. And that's what Justin Levine has done throughout this race to get him in 2nd position. But now he's up here with Travis Manning, who's not going to be very easy to pass. But again, we've got the fuel problem that we're looking at here. It'd be interesting to see how this unfolds.
Oh, Austin Greer just went into the wall in the carousel. Got a bit too unsettled on corner entry. Kind of stepped back in a sideways and ended up kind of pancaking the tire barrier with the left side. Lost the spot to Randy Drumhiller. Kept it going, but wasn't good news for him. Also, Gil Gawk out of 8th place. He is in the gravel and has no front hood in turn 6. So Gil Gawk has had a major struggle. Looks like it was a self-inflicted error for the 85 car. Slid out way too wide and went head-on hard into the tire barriers. So more struggles befalling a lot of drivers in the field as tire wear kicks in.
Well, you got to also understand that iRacing has done a tremendous job on illustrating that when somebody goes off-road into the gravel sand traps there, when they come back on the tracks, there's smoke coming from the rear tires, which appears to make it look like they've blown their engine. However, that is dust and sand that they've got it's been built up on the tires, and they've got to get that off of there. If they come off these sand traps and try to give it a lot of gas before they get all that sand off those tires, they're surely going to spin. So that's the dust you're seeing coming off the back of the 85 car. He did not blow up. That was sand from the sand trap coming off his tires.
You also saw as well just how fast Gil Gawk went shooting off into the gravel there, which goes to show that these gravel traps here, they don't slow you down all that much at all. If anything, you just skip across them. It doesn't help that the zone where Gawk went off is also a downhill gravel trap, which makes it even harder to stop. He barely slowed down at all. Battle is on for 3rd place, and it's a fierce one. Shamoon is all over Brian Johnson, trying to find a way past through turn 3. Was kind of looking around for 4, almost gave it the bumper in 2. bumping off the curb in that time by for Dan Shamoon. And Brian Johnson's got some breathing room into the bus stop.
Yeah, if Brian Johnson can just hit all his marks here, he's not going to let Dan Shamoon intimidate him at all. He's just got to keep that car from getting a little loose there and hope that Dan Shamoon gets too aggressive and gets loose himself trying to pass him.
Looks like Dan Shamoon had a bit of a better line through the carousel than Brian Johnson did, so has a bit of draft down this long straightaway for 6, but Brian Johnson is the leader of the breakers, but he's going to go wide. Shamoon, look out! Oh, contact once, twice! Oh, and he's still going around Brian Johnson hard into the wall. That is going to be another spot for Dan Shamoon. From the sounds of the radio, though, that is not the way he wanted to get it.
No, that was just a racing incident. I mean, that absolutely was nothing Dan Shamoon could have done there. He just got a little bit aggressive there and caught his bumper, and then Brian could not recover from that.
It doesn't help as well the fact that Brian Johnson was slow through the corner because he was running super wide. It really doesn't help, unfortunately. I mean, you get these drivers who are looking so good, and then one mistake and the guy behind just can't anticipate it, and it's on from there.
Yeah, there was some race chatter just went on. Chris Johnson chirped up and said, "Now you wrecked out both the Johnson brothers." Again, that's a racing incident. I mean, that absolutely. I cannot say that Dan Shamoon did anything improper at that point right there.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, you saw it, Al. He was on the brakes. He was trying to keep it out of him as much as he possibly could. He was moving over to the left as well. He couldn't have done anything different there. I mean, the only thing he could have done was anticipate the future and just bailed out of that corner entirely. But I mean, come on, who's going to do that, right? I mean, we're not mind readers.
No, we're racing. This is a race. I mean, this isn't a drive to the Walmart here.
Amen.
So it's now we've got the Johnson brothers are together. They're running 4th and 5th, and if they can work on it, I mean, they're not too far behind to get back up to Dan Shamoon here.
I want to take a look back at the battle with Wayne Gross and Matthew McKeegan, which is getting closer every lap for 9th and 8th. And while we're looking at this, I want to also just mention as well, the gap between Manning and Levine is steadily decreasing here. It's down to 1.5 seconds now and is continuing to close. So at the moment, Justin Levine is a couple tenths quicker than Travis Manning every single lap. Now here's the bigger question here on this one, Al. How much fuel is Manning saving for the long run?
Well, I don't think Manning's saving anything. And what's going to help Levine here is Manning is coming up on lap traffic. So he has to hope and pray that these guys can hit their marks and not spin out in front of him and collect him. Plus, you've got a little bit of an internet connection issue with one of the lap cars. It looks like he makes it past them safely. He just needs to pass these lap cars without an incident. If there's an incident that happens, Justin Levine's going to capitalize on it.
Still watching this battle for between Powell, Grossi, and McEakin, which is still tight, but obviously the battle for the lead is closing in just as quickly. I mean, you got all these battles that are starting to come to fruition all at the same time, as you just saw the 22 car barely squeaking around the lap car of Craig Johnson. Matthew McEakin, though, is the driver trying to put Wayne Grossi under pressure, and at the moment, Grossi has got to worry more about defense than he can about offense, because he's not gaining a lot of time up to Kenny Powell, but Matthew McEakin is gaining a lot of time on him.
Nolan, let's stick with these leaders in first and second here. This battle is about to be on. It looks like Justin Levine has caught Travis Manning and is within, breathing distance of him, and Travis is feeling the heat right now. So let's watch and see if Justin can do like he's done many times throughout this race, put enough pressure on this skilled Travis Manning, which is going to be highly unlikely to get him squirrely.
Right on the back bumper, Justin Levine, he's trying to go last to first. Can he actually do it? It's one thing to take the lead, it's another to hold it with how the fuel strategy is in this race. A couple of guys are trying to go to the end. We still don't know yet if Levine is on that strategy or if he's trying to maybe pit one more. But if he does, this will effectively leave it in the hands of Travis Manning for this race victory. So your top two really close together out through turn 4, and it's getting closer every corner.
Watch how much of a closing gap here Levine gets. Look at that, how he closes right in right there.
Oh, and he's too deep. Too deep. Over the grass. Saves it, but he
Oh.
loses a second.
Yeah, that's going to tear him down right there. That's going to close his gap up. But he's going to finish that up and get right back up with him. He's regathering himself, taking a deep breath, and going to get back in it. And that's exactly what Travis wants to see out of his rearview mirror.
Austin Greer comes down pit road. The first driver who can confirm not make it to the flag. So Austin Greer goes down pit road with a battle for first and second. All sorts of out there now. The big gap between them. We'll turn our attention back to 8th, 9th, and 10th. By the way, McKeegan finally got past Wayne Grossi on this very lap. I'm thinking down in the turn 1 this pass took place. That was where it took place. And now you got Chad Sullivan, who's looking to put the 7 under fire as well. 10 laps to go as well for Watkins Glen. Oh my gosh, Sullivan way too deep on the brakes. Swings wide into the grass. Here comes Souza, picks up the top 10, maybe around the outside of 7, and gets it done.
Yeah, I've been saying it the whole race, Nolan. It just takes one mistake from a driver to lose 2 or 3 positions. There goes somebody looks like Powell. He gets a little wide there. Yeah, he gets really wide. He almost does it. Oh, 21 in the wall off that corner.
Oh! By himself. Stepped on the power too much. Shot it into the tire barriers. It's a mistake we see all too commonly on the road course scene.
And it takes him a while. It takes Chad Sullivan a while to regroup and get that thing back under control. Now, I will let you know that if you hit these barriers or the guardrails square with your nose, you can mess up the steering in these cars, and it will not steer the same throughout the rest of your race. I did that yesterday, and I couldn't believe how much steering I lost on these cars. So if anybody hits the wall here and they're acting like they can't turn, it's exactly the reason.
So the battle is on. Here comes Souza down the inside of Wayne Grossi into the final corner, trying to pick up another. Jeffrey Souza goes to 9th. Grossi gives him all the room in the world to work with. I don't think Wayne Grossi is really wanting to fight anybody at the moment, to be honest with you, Al. He's just at the moment thinking, I'm in the top 10 position. Why throw that away when I could just also lose one spot and be done with it and still get a top 10 finish?
Absolutely, and that's a smart way to look at this. I mean, you're obviously sitting way back here. You're not going to win the race. The odds of Travis Manning, Justin Levine, Dan Shamoon, Brian Johnson, Josh Schaffner, Chris Johnson making a mistake that's going to get them further up there are pretty slim. So just ride this out for another 9 laps and just finish this thing out.
17 to 8 not close. Labrie and Austin Greer looking to do battle in the 6 and 7. The 2 discount modifieds looking to tango. Greer nearly getting wiped out on the last straightaway by Kyle Labrie, who lets off and finally lets him have the spot. And that kind of splits up a majority of the battles that we had going throughout the field here, Al. Except, of course, the battle for first, which is now within a second once again.
Oh, yeah, Justin Levine you can see him getting loose almost every corner. He is driving the wheels off his car trying to get back up there to Travis. He knows the clock is ticking, and he's got roughly about 7 laps before he needs to pass him. And he's trying everything he can. Well, he just cut the course again. I think he's going to have to slow down.
These mistakes are hurting Levine so much. And he always gets so far out there, but he's not that affected by it. Because, I mean, look at this. He is still trying to go at him, still within half a second now. Now, once again, the question is, how much fuel is Levine burning here? Because we're under 10 to go. You got some guys like Brian Johnson who are trying to stretch this one, go the distance all the way to the end of the race. We discussed how it's a very slim possibility. That looks like what looks to me like Levine is not trying to do. He just wants to take this lead, go last to first, unless he's got the fuel he needs to make it. I honestly think it might not be a case here where Manny's actually backing off big time here, Al, because I'm wanting to point out he's at the moment running over 3 seconds, almost 3 seconds slower than his fastest qualifying lap, which tells me he is saving fuel because he probably burned it all up in the early stages.
Oh, I can imagine he probably is. I wouldn't think that, but maybe he is. Now, when we seen
here we go.
Levine, he's going to the inside here. Maybe Travis is letting him by for a fuel mileage thing.
He is. He just clutch and coasted.
Yeah, he can't make it. That's what he's thinking. He can't make it. Now, when you see Justin Levine go off the track here, he gets a slowdown penalty. But this turn, this sharp right turn right here, he's eating up that penalty by slowly going around this corner. And a lot of drivers have to slow down anyway, so he's able to complete that penalty in that slowdown on that right-hand turn.
So Levine has done it. He's gone last to first. What a legend. The number 34 machine. Just looking around at the moment for some other battles out there at the moment. I'm watching on that gap, but it's not really going a whole lot of places. McKeegan has lost a lot of time to Jeffrey Sousa and Kenny Powell. I think they're trying to get her on Craig Johnson to the bus stop chicane, and he gave up over a second of time back to 8th and 9th. So it's about to be another 3-car battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th place out there.
I'm going to say I think Justin Levine is going to be okay on fuel. We're going to find out. He has got roughly about 5.5 laps left. I think he might be good on fuel.
It'll be a tight fight. We'll keep an eye on him as that situation develops. Over a second the gap now, so the battle for the lead is effectively over. Levine is in first for now. That leaves McKeegan, Powell, and Sousa running 7th, 8th, and 9th. One of the only battles left out there on the track, and Powell once again swings wide. That allows Sousa to close in the gap. Powell's leaving a bit of room at the inside of 2. So Sousa's going to try to get the run through 3 and 4.
Well, I'm seeing Travis Manning. He is still maintaining a less than 1 second gap between him and Justin Levine right now.
It's a second and a half.
Yeah, just in case Levine doesn't have enough fuel, he'll have enough to muster through there and pull out a win. They don't have to worry about third place because third place is roughly about 12.5 seconds behind them. So they've got a very comfortable gap.
Susan Powell still nice and tight. The 29 car bobbles out of the carousel, giving a couple of more precious tenths up to Kenny Powell, who at the moment needs all the points he can get to put himself in contention. Oh, ends up Kyle Labria spun just in front of these guys. The number 9 machine out of 18th place has lost it, and it was his own mistake. Too deep on the brakes coming into turn 6. Went so deep, didn't hit the barriers, but she shot sideways coming back onto the track and hit the barriers there.
Well, you missed it knowing Travis Manning. I was watching him for this battle, and he about lost it coming into that bus stop, giving Justin Levine a huge advantage here. He's almost 3 seconds now in front of Travis Manning. Luckily, Travis had managed to wheel that thing through all of his mishap there and did not lose much, but that 3 seconds is huge.
2.3 seconds now the gap with under 5 to go. The question is going to be, does Levine have the fuel to make it? And I think that's the question on a lot of drivers' minds at the moment. No doubt a lot of these guys are going to be looking at their fuel gauges. And I say fuel gauges, these cars don't necessarily have those, but they'll be looking at their black box that says about how many laps of fuel they left. And they're going to be watching that very, very intently, trying to see if they can make it to the end. No, to recalculating this every single lap.
Yeah, a Cup driver will watch their pressure, their fuel pressure gauge to kind of see it if it drops enough here to tell them that they're probably almost out of fuel. The iRacing has given us the ability to have what's called a black box. And inside that black box, it tells you how much fuel you have left and how many laps approximately, which is fairly accurate, you can go. Right about now, I'm going to guess that Justin Levine is probably being told he's got about 4.6, 4.7, and it's just probably going to be enough.
Still looking on at the battle for 8th and 9th. Sousa and Powell are both still tight together, but Powell's starting to have a little bit more connection issues out there on the track, so Sousa's got to watch himself here. He's backed off a bit from the 24. Understandably so. You don't really want to be going out there, then you have a car blink out, and then you find that he's phased into you by the time you come back in.
Now, battle for the final podium position is Brian Johnson and Dan Shamoon. And if Dan Shamoon makes one wrong turn, that 2 second gap, or 1.5 seconds now, gap between Dan Shamoon and Brian Johnson will close up dramatically. And it'll give Brian Johnson a chance to have a podium finish.
That it could. So Johnson and Schaffner are both close, but even that gap, it's still almost a second between them. I tell you what, though, I mean, the battles have been good. It's kind of died off a bit in the later stage of the race, but of course, that's just the way it goes in really any race. Doesn't matter if it's an oval race or a road course race. It's a bit of both, isn't it? Tell you what, it's been fun though. This has been honestly a very, very fun race for us to be able to cover so far tonight. We are coming to the conclusion of this race as well. I mean, we're coming up what should be. Oh, heads up! Brian Littleton has had a big shunt out of turn 5, lost the back end and slammed into the tire barrier, bounced across to the other side of the racetrack.
Yeah, luckily nobody else got wrapped up into that here. Now we should be about 2 to go to end of this race, and time's going to tell now if Justin Levine and Travis Manning have enough fuel. And I think Travis has decided enough is enough. I've saved enough. I'm going to go back after Levine because time has dropped for less than a second now. Travis Manning has put the pedal back down, is aggressively catching Justin Levine, and he may have just let him have a couple laps of lead, and now he's going to come back after him. So this is going to be a great battle. Let's stay on Travis Manning and Justin Levine to the end of this race.
This is going to be a close one. You can probably feel the friction building up. Almost half a second gain just this lap alone, Al. Coming to the white flag. So far, 8 tenths between them. Manny lost a couple of tenths in that last corner alone through the carousel. He's got to gain 8 tenths on this final lap. If Levine makes a couple mistakes, it's doable. White flag in the air.
Yeah, this is going to be the battle to the end right here. And I know Travis Manning, the wheel man he is not going to let Justin Levine walk away with this and give it to him freely. He is going to do everything he can to get up there and make the end of this race one heck of a show here.
Closes in 2 more tenths. Right at the entrance of turn 1. Down to 6 tenths between them. Can he pull any more through the S's? Down to half a second. Now he's got the draft and the run to the bus stop chicane. Just half a lap remaining for Levine and Manning. Does either of them have enough fuel? Look at how much, though, Travis Manning closes on in for the bus stop chicane. Bouncing over the curbs. Cuts the chicane a little bit. Is that enough to cost him? It might just be. Justin Levine out through the carousel. Just has 2 more corners to negotiate. And he'll have this one won. Oh, it's Manning off and into the grass. I think that settles it.
That was a nail in his coffin right there. That cost him a chance for the win there.
So Levine comes through turn 6. Just has to round turn 7. Does he have the fuel to make it? Gilgok does not. He pulls it off in front of him. Justin Levine off of the final corner. Wins it. Travis Manning's out of fuel. Travis Manning running out of fuel. Can he make it to the stripe for third place? Catches him. He does by a long shot. So Manning runs out off the final corner of the race. What a drive. It's not over, though. You still got all these battles further behind. Brian Johnson's out of fuel. Josh Schaubner goes up into 4th place. So Johnson runs out of fuel. He'll lose several spots. Losing another up to Chris Johnson. Brandon McKeegan's going to go through as well.
Yeah, Brian Johnson went from 4th, and he's probably going to finish this out way down, probably in like 16th, 17th, or 18th.
Suzanne Powell, one of the last battles across, 8th and 9th. Both drivers bouncing over that inside curbing onto the grass. Neither driver runs out. Powell's out. Powell is out. Souza cannot close in time. 7th and 8th goes to Kenny Powell and Jeffrey Souza, respectively. Oh, my gosh. So many drivers running out of fuel on this final lap. Levine, by the way, is also out. He can't even make it back to do his donuts. He had just enough in the tank.
That is amazing. So winning this race, it's going to be Justin Levine. Travis Manning coming 2nd. 3rd is Dan Shamoon. 4th is Josh Schaffner. 5th, Chris Johnson. 6th, Matthew McKeegan. 7th, Kenny Powell. 8th, Jeffrey Souza. 9th is Wayne Grassi. And rounding out the top 10 would be the 21 of Chad Sullivan.
The last car on the lead lap over a minute back is Brian Johnson. Finishing this race, he will, I believe, be scored 1 lap down officially as he did not complete that last lap of the race. Brian Johnson is in, yes, he is. He is confirmed in 12th place. Randy Drumhill is in 11th, excuse me. Roy Hyde 13th with Gil Gawk at 14th. Robert Pattengale 15th. Brian Littleton in 16th with Dawson Gritter 17th. Kyle Labrie 18th. Craig Johnson, Paul Olson rounding out the top 20.
And finishing out this field for us is going to be the 53 machine of Chuck Sweeting in 21st, Michael Grant in 22nd, Will Barlow 23rd, Corey Cook 24th, and John Mullins rounding out the 25th.
John Mullins, of course, not even starting off this race tonight, left before the pace lap could even begin. It's unfortunate to see him leave so early. He missed one heck of a race. Well, we do have the drivers to give us a talk. We'll start from the bottom. We'll work our way up. Dan Shamoon, you join us up in the broadcast booth. What a race! I mean, a lot of these guys are running out of fuel right at the buzzer.
Oh yeah, we were in the same boat. At least I especially was, and I think Travis got caught in that, and it's unfortunate because he was blazing fast. But I got lucky and finished third. I don't like the way I ended up there. I didn't mean to really get those guys, loose or wrecked out there. It's just misjudgment.
Regardless, a third place is still very much a third place. It's a good points haul for you and your team today. No doubt it should be an interesting one as well. You've proven that you can be fast on the road courses. Do you plan to put on a similar performance when we come around to Indianapolis?
I don't know. I'm going to try. We'll practice it and see what happens. I've never raced it before, so I don't even know what it's like. I just want to thank everybody at Frontline, even especially Travis, and for helping us dial in the set. And I think we'll have a good set at least for Indy. It's just a matter of driving it.
Oh my gosh, there's just so much to cover, and unfortunately not enough time to cover all of it. So, well, Dan, it's been a pleasure as always. I mean, it's always a pleasure to bring you up here and be able to get your thoughts on things. It was a good race for you today. Hopefully it'll be a good race for you next week as well. Before I let you go, is there anybody you'd like to shout out for your number 22?
Yeah, all the guys at Frontline. Just want to thank them. What a great team we have. A bunch of good guys, good atmosphere, and a bunch of hard workers. And there's always something to learn from somebody on the team. So I just want to thank them. I want to thank Abruzzi. Great gear. I love their gloves. And that's it.
Thank you, Dan, for taking the time to come on up here and give us a chat. Congratulations on a third place finish, and hopefully you'll be able to come out with a strong performance as well next week at Indy.
Thank you. Thank you guys too.
So that is going to be Frontline Motorsports' Dan Shaboon rounded out in third place. Al, you've got second place on the podium, Travis Manning.
Mr. Travis Manning. Al Kozlowski in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Travis, you dominated first and second stages. We thought you were going to walk away with this thing. Was the fuel mileage strategy in your mind? Is that what we backed off and we kind of let Justin Levine go, or did you do everything you could to keep him behind you?
Yeah, it was fuel strategy for the most part. It really what it ended up coming down to was saving under caution and not saving under caution. Unfortunately, I knew Justin's pace was good, and when we were conversing during the race about it, and I knew he had more than me, so I would give it some this lap. I'd back off this lap. It got to the point where I was short shifting, clutching, everything I could just to make it to the end. At the very last few laps, I knew I was going to be. It was all or nothing. So went for it and drove it a little too hard, sent it off the track. I ended up coming out of the last turn anyway. So it really stings. So that's how it went, but it's all part of the deal. That's how it goes. You win some that way, you lose some that way, and we're still going to come back and we're going to try again.
Well, it ain't too disappointing, Travis. You put on one hell of a show for us tonight, and everybody, our viewers watching that. And I think you mentioned you had some family that might be watching this as well, and I hope you put on a great performance for them as well, because I know what we seen tonight was a typical Travis Manning.
I definitely tried, man. I tried. Justin definitely got me tonight, though. So like I said, we'll come back. We'll keep trying. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to Frontline, Abruzzi, Dan, Justin helped put laps in on this car. My buddy JR, he's watching. He helped get the ball rolling on this setup. So, big thanks to a lot of everyone that had part of this car, and it definitely paid off tonight, paid off last night, paid off in a lot of different ways this week. So really proud of everybody. Glad we could do a 1, 2, 3 tonight.
Yeah, it's congratulations, Travis. What about some of the family that's been watching?
Oh yeah, absolutely. My dad's been hounding me every day. You got to race tonight. You got to race tonight, and I was able to get him one, get him one tonight. Couldn't park in victory lane, but we definitely led a lot of laps tonight for sure. My buddy Jr. Hopefully he's still watching if he's still awake.
You put on a great performance for Dad, and I know he's smiling ear to ear because the second place is not an easy feat. As you can see, there's 23 other drivers that tried to get there, and you ended up there. So congratulations, Travis, to your second place finish.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Nolan, let's get a hold of Justin the Machine Levine, and you go ahead and talk to him for a minute because I've talked to Justin quite a bit, and I think it's time that you give him a shout out and see what you got for him.
Justin, that one came right down to the wire. Travis was running you down, and unfortunately, those last couple of mistakes in the last few corners is what potentially earned you a victory there. But were you looking at all a little bit nervous there coming into the closing stages?
Definitely. I was hoping that Travis was short on fuel. Travis really deserved this win. He was so fast. He was in his own class tonight. But unfortunately, fuel came down to it.
Walk us through the fuel strategy, because I know that typically we're used to seeing these fuel stops in the third stage, but it wasn't the case tonight.
I really didn't think that we were going to make it. So, I just force a habit. I always save on the caution, and that little amount that I saved is the exact amount I needed to cross the line. I really didn't think we were going to make it.
Well, we look forward. Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 41 laps around the road course there that Formula One used to use. That'll be an interesting one as well. How do you reckon the fuel strategy lines up there? Well, do you think it'll be about the same as it was here?
Honestly, I have no idea. I never raced there, the road course side. It's going to be first time going there next week. Probably with the stages, it's going to line up just about the same.
Well, that would certainly be a good entertainment for us here in the booth. We certainly were enjoying ourselves watching all the strategies playing on out. Justin, it was a good run for you. Last place to first. First driver to do that in quite a while, to my knowledge. So that's a feat in of itself.
Wow, I can't believe that. I didn't even realize I started last. I barely made the race, and I was just going to take my time on getting through the field, and somehow ended up in victory lane.
Well, before I let you go then here, Justin, anybody that you'd like to shout out for your number 34 machine?
Got to thank you guys and Kenny, all the admins that helped put this together. Got to thank Frontline, especially Travis and Dan. They put so much time into this set. Without them, this car wouldn't be that fast. And Brucey Raceware.
Well, Justin, thanks for coming on up and joining us up here in the broadcast booth. We will see you all. We'll see you next week at Indianapolis.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Well, that will do it for our podium drivers here, Al. An exciting race, to say the very least. And you heard Justin, the fuel strategy could very well be lining up the same way at Indianapolis in just 1 week's time. What do you think?
Well, I haven't been on the track myself either, so I don't know what to think. A lot of these drivers are probably the same as I am. They're going to be new to that track, and next week should be probably a little bit more than what we're seeing this week. There's going to be a little bit more carnage going on, but I guess we'll wait and see what goes on. Let's give a shout out and thanks to Rob Melnick behind the scenes here for keeping us live, and till next week.